Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, Sell Rules, week number 26. I'm sharing my stock journey as I practice and develop my sell rules. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I bought, nor is it an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm focusing on my sell rules. This needs daily attention, and this is not a buy and hold strategy. My basic premise is that my start date is April 13, 2018. I had $100,000 to invest. My goal is to double my money in 1 year. I'm focusing on practicing and developing my sell rules. And I'm trading in my rollover Roth IRA. I have a bunch of free trades and there's no tax implications that I need to consider. The IBD reports on what they call the market trend. And the stock market had been in confirmed uptrend for many weeks. But this week, on Thursday, it went from confirmed uptrend into uptrend under pressure. And so I've modified my sell rules. These sell rules are the same as they were last week. And I'm going to follow these rules when it's in confirmed uptrend. And then the next slide, you'll see that I have an additional rule for when the market moves to uptrend under pressure. So my sell rules are hold for a minimum of 6 weeks. Set sell triggers when I buy the stock. Initially, it goes at 8% below the purchase price, and I call this my floor. And then after the stock gains 10%, I change the floor to a violation of the 20-day exponential moving average. And you'll see examples of those later on. At 8 weeks, I do a check-in to see if the stock has gained a minimum of 4%. And after that, I continue watching the stock to see if it's gaining at least 0.5% per week. My last rule is to watch stocks that I've sold to look for repurchase opportunities. When the market moved to uptrend under pressure, I looked at my stocks that I've held for less than 8 weeks, and I raised the floor from the existing 8% to either the 20-day or the 50-day violation. And I raised that, and I'm going to give you examples of what that looks like and why I decided to do that. Here's my activity for the week 26. And I did purchase 2 stocks at the beginning of the week, and I sold 7 stocks. So we'll go through those. Amna. This one I raised the floor on Wednesday when it crossed below that 20-day exponential moving average where that blue arrow is. I took 99% of the low for that day, and that brought my new floor to 67.55. And you can see by the red dash line and the yellow bar, I sold this right where I was supposed to. So yay for me, keep sticking to my sell rules. I had a gain of 19% in 13 weeks for $1,892 gain. Peckyou, last week I raised the floor. When it closed below the 20-day exponential moving average, I raised that floor target, and then when it crossed below that yellow line, I sold it. This stock I had held for 12 weeks, a little over 12 weeks, and I had a gain of 34% for $3,439.80. NSP, this stock I'd held for 6 weeks and it had only gained 3%, and it's below, several days below its 20-day exponential moving average. It's just moving sideways. So I took my 3% gain and just got out of the stock, $302 in 6 weeks. Tandem, I had a loss of just under $1,000, 10% loss in 2.2 weeks. I did sell close to my target line. So I'm proud that I'm sticking to my sell rules. Stitch Fix. This was a huge loss, big loss. $3,473 in 2 weeks, 34.9%. I had to put it in red because it was such a crazy loss. They had earnings. They didn't hit their targets that the street liked, and it tanked. And you can see it just happened in one day. And I knew last week that earnings were coming up, but I thought they were going to be good. Funko, I also took a little over $1,000 loss in Funko, 11% in 2.5 weeks. Again, I sold close to my sell line. And Sale Point Technologies, a loss of 4.3% in 2.8 weeks. I made two new purchases this week. PRA Health Sciences, I purchased on 11/2 for $39.20. And I set, as I do with all my stocks, I set my floor 8% below that purchase price. That's the bottom yellow line at 102.17. But since the market went into correction, I wanted to tighten up my sell rules. So I'm implementing my violation where it closes below the 20-day exponential moving average. And I've pointed to that on with that blue arrow. So the rule is to take the low from that day and then set your floor 1% below that. So I've raised my floor to 103.74. So if it did drop below that on Friday, but I just put this trigger on over the weekend. So it's above it right now, but if it drops below that 103.74, then I need to sell this stock. I also bought Cactus Inc. this week, WHD. It's from the 1-year IPO list. I bought it on 10/2 at $39.20. It's up 3%, and I have my yellow line, my floor, set at 8% below. Now I want to review my existing holdings. Target is down 3.5%. I've only had this stock for 2.5 weeks, but since the market is in uptrend under pressure, I wanted to raise my floor so I don't want to be taking 8% losses because some of these stocks can drop quickly. So I wanted to raise my floor. The bottom yellow line is the 8%. And since this stock is already below its 20-day exponential moving average, I used that 50-day when it closed below the 50-day, and I took 1% below that price to see if it's going to pop back above that 50-day. So my floor had been down at 80.57 at 8%, and now I've raised that up to 83.58. So if the stock drops below that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of Target. I also have Massey, which is down 1% for the week. Sorry, 1% total. I've had it for 2.5 weeks, and I raised the floor on this one also from the 8% loss up to 1% below the low of the day that it closed below the 20-day exponential moving average. And you can see that I raised that up about $5 to 117.85. Bandwidth is up 1.7%. I've had it for 2.5 weeks. And I want you to notice the scale on the right-hand side. The percentages, this scale goes from a negative 10% to 45%, the range. And the distance between the yellow line and the dashed green line, that's the 8%. As I move to the next slide, I want you to see how close the yellow and green lines are to each other because it has a much wider scale. So the scale on Champions Oncology is from a negative 10% to 190. So it has a 200% range, and this is for 3 months. So the stock is really moving. I've made 24.5%, or the stock's gone up that much. I didn't make it yet in 3 weeks, but last week it had been up 50%. So you can see that it makes quite large moves, but it's just pulled back to its 10-day simple moving average. It's performing fine, and hopefully it will move back on up. Skin Sciences is down 6.5%. The floor is at the 8% loss, so hopefully it won't get there and it will start going back up. The current gains I've sorted by the losers. So Skin Sciences, PRAH, and Target and Massey are all losers. Those four are on the top, with Skin the biggest loser at $632. But the weekly holdings percentage change shows a different story, with CSBR down 17%. Huge loss, but it was up 32% the week before and 13% the week before that. So I'm okay with losing 17% when it went up 32. Skin is down 8% for the week. PRA Health and Target are down 4%, and Massey is down 3%. Bandwidth and WHD did go up. Here's another representation of my holdings. Each week is one bar. So on Band, I've had it 3 weeks since it has 3 bars there. And since all my stocks I purchase at $10,000, I have a line drawn at 9,200, which is my 8% loss. So you can see the yellow SSKN, it's almost at that 8% mark. I'm tracking my purchases and sells in a spreadsheet, and I have a running balance that shows the cash balance. So my cash on hand now is 67,718.84, and I have gone negative 3 times in this experiment because I am purchasing $10,000. So maybe I should call it the $102,000 experiments, because I did go negative about $2,400 back in July. That's just my negative cash balance. But going forward, I'm going to try and keep within that $100,000. And my benchmark, totally disappointing. I should have sold everything at the beginning of September and taken the month off, and I'd be in better shape. But 39% in 26 weeks, and I'm down from my high of 60%, but I'm sure that I will make it up, and I'm just going to keep on going. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want alerts when I post a new episode.